Oh wait, wait, call. You need to write this.
Where's the party tonight? On the Zoom call. Where's the party tonight? It's my birthday. Hi, Itisha. Thank you so much for organizing this virtual birthday party. I'm so excited. I am so excited.
Oh, I'm so sorry, everyone. Bhrikuti, you're on the wrong call. You're on the wrong Zoom group.
What do you mean wrong Zoom group?
Your birthday is in like half an hour. It's a different link, Bhrikuti. This is our recording group.
What? Oily summer. Aren't we done with that already?
Oh, remember I told you this is like the recording.
Oh,
Hi,
Itisha. Hi, Bhrikuti. Namaste. Swagat, sir. Are we still doing that in this call?
Yeah.
Oh.
आफ्नो सुरक्षाको लागि सिटको पेटी बाँधिरहनु हुँदा धुम्रपान नगर्नुहोला कुनै फोनको स्विच अफ अथवा
Boju Bajai.
Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of Guff Gaff with Boju Bajai. Mera naam Itisha Giri.
Mera naam Bhrikuti, right?
And in this episode, we're going to pick up where we left last time. In our last episode, we talked about the idea of nation state, what nationalism means, how it's different to patriotism. And Kalpana Jha mentioned something I feel was very, very pertinent. There is a difference between a citizen and a subject. And the current provisions of citizenship make it quite clear how the Nepali state treats its women as subjects and not as citizens.
Yeah, and we also, I feel like we need to add that how this constitution is discriminatory towards not just women. महिलाहरूलाई त अब भनौँ न दोस्रो दर्जा जुन चाहिँ has been like trending on social media for quite a while, दोस्रो दर्जाको रूपमा उहाँहरूले ट्रिट मात्रै गरिराख्नु भएको छैन. It especially affects women, especially from Madhes, and it also is discriminatory towards people from the trans community. So to talk more about this, we have two very special guests, Abha Lal and Pallavi Payal. Abha Lal is the first guest of episode 2. She is a writer and an editor, and her work has primarily focused on human rights issues.
So here's an excerpt of our conversation with Abha that we recorded about a month ago. I suppose the first question would be, what does this document mean?
Yeah, so citizenship is a document that basically proves that you belong to a particular nation state. But in Nepal, political, bio, legal, social, all your rights are tied to that one citizenship document. So other than traveling abroad, for which you need a passport, to register for a college or school, you need a citizenship certificate. To inherit property, you need a citizenship certificate. For basic, like bank khata khulna lai dekhi, all kinds of like life death situation ma, that is the document that proves that you are from Nepal and you're entitled to rights and benefits that come with being a Nepali citizen. So it's a very important document without which just day-to-day life would be very hard for someone.
Can you tell us a little bit about how the Nepali state, has changed or has, because the citizenship provisions have changed so many times over the last sort of, 4 or 5 decades. So, but at every moment, there has always been a certain population that has been discriminated against. So can you just talk about maybe the history of discrimination when we talk about citizenship and who is eligible to be a Nepali citizen?
Yeah. So Nepal's history of giving formal citizenship certificates is not that long compared to some other countries. Our first Citizenship Act was in 1952. And oilebata compare garyo bhane chai in some ways it was way more progressive than the provisions we have now. Anybody who was born in Nepal or anybody who married a citizen of Nepal was entitled to Nepali citizenship. Now we don't have citizenship by birth. So it was a completely different framework, Matthew. And as with a lot of other things, when Mahindra came into power with the Panchayat regime is when a lot of those provisions got changed. 2015 ko constitution le nai unequal rights lai chai enshrine garya ho. Matrilineal line bata आमाले चाहिँ आफ्नो छोराछोरीलाई citizenship दिन नसक्ने बनाइदियो constitution ले नै. अनि constitution ले नै त्यो framework बनाइसकेपछि चाहिँ अहिलेको act चाहिँ यो 2006 कै citizenship act मा amendment introduce गर्नला छ, which hews closely to the provisions that were outlined in the constitution. But this भन्दा नि एकदमै नयाँ त्यो चाहिँ a foreign woman married to a Nepali man was previously entitled to citizenship immediately. अनि cross border marriage धेरै ठाउँमा धेरै हुन्छ, but primarily चाहिँ मधेसमा एकदम धेरै हुने हो. अनि since the 1980s चाहिँ women have never had to wait any number of years to get Nepali citizenship after getting married. But यो नयाँ provision मा चाहिँ 15-year waiting period को कुरा हाल्दा छ. So if you are India ma born bhako mahila married to a Nepali man, you are not entitled to Nepali citizenship immediately. That's been a big issue. A foreign man married to a Nepali woman doesn't even have that option. Your naturalization ko, they have to go through a whole different process that's independent of marriage. So jun ekdam patriarchal idea cha of women being either wives or daughters, and that's the daughters belonging to men. That's the only path to citizenship. Ekdam constitutionally or legally nai men and women aren't equal provisions banayeko cha. And into that मान्छेहरुको चाहिँ they're going to be required to present a doctor's certificate of having medically transitioned in order to get a citizenship certificate corresponding with their gender. So there's a lot of regressive provisions.
We share an open border with India, but why do politicians always bring up national security and sovereignty as ways to justify these regressive provisions?
I think a lot of it comes down to what we've been indoctrinated into since the panchayat system. Na yote des, yote bhasa, all these things, we've cultivated this real myth of national uniformity. Ani desको different partहरुमा चाहिँ customहरु कति different छ, what is normal to a certain ethnic group or regional group. I think people in the hills, actually not even specifically in the hills, यो power मा जो हाम्रो hill Brahmin men धेरै हुनुहुन्छ, I think a lot of them don't quite even understand that cross-border marriages are an extremely common phenomenon. So I think this idea of कति porous छ border, हाम्रो decision-making power भएको मान्छेहरु don't quite want to understand or don't understand. So all these debates about your national sovereignty operate on a very like ideological plane, where they think that Nepal ekdam like pure ढाका टोपी मात्र लाउने, like very certain kind of cultural values भएको nation ho, when we're a very very diverse nation in many ways. So त्यो पञ्चायत hangover चाहिँ अलि यति वर्ष भइसके पनि, even though we got rid of panchayat system 1990 मै, a lot of the cultural messaging has continued to dictate how politicians make decisions.
Okay, त्यो भनेको कुरा जस्तै हाम्रो जस्तो नागरिकता नहुँदाखेरि चाहिँ विशेष गरी महिलाहरूलाई, and especially if they're relying on their husband to get their citizenship, त्यस्तो अवस्थामा चाहिँ what are some of the like challenges or some of the issues that women especially भनौँ न मधेसमा हुनुहुन्छ भने र त्यहाँ cross border marriage हुन्छ?
So first चाहिँ यो मधेसीहरु specifically भनेको छैन, why are you making it about मधेसीs पहाडीs भन्ने जुन allegation आइरा हुन्छ. I understand it on one level, but the thing that people saying that are missing is that यो कारण के हो त, like कहिले नगरेको waiting period suddenly implement गर्ने ideological reason understand गर्न खोज्यो भने it dates back a long time, like trying to separate Nepal from India and like trying to cultivate an idea of Nepali national identity that is oppositional to Indian identity. अनि Madhesis have always stood in a little bit of liminal space with that because they're seen as being Indian. So explicitly Madhesiहरूलाई exclude गर्न भनेर नबनाए पनि when we approach it from like a historical analysis गर्न खोज्यो भने it's very self-evident that that is sort of the reason behind a lot of these explanations and policies. So त्यो एउटा कुरा भयो. And in terms of people who don't have citizenship, यो 7 वर्ष 15 वर्षसम्म what kind of vulnerabilities they'll face मा चाहिँ so North India पनि South Nepal Madhes पनि overwhelmingly patriarchal society हो. अनि it's very often छोरीलाई नागरिकता नदिनु बिहार उत्तर प्रदेशमा पनि अनि तराईमा पनि एकदमै common phenomenon हो. So suppose a young person from Bihar gets arranged married to somebody in Mohottari, let's say, अनि आमा बुवाले नागरिकता बनाइदिएको छैन भने they won't even have Indian citizenship for 10-15 years. अनि so punish त्यो आमा बुवाले नबनाइदिएको punish गर्न the person जसको बनाइदिएन, that makes absolutely no sense. And it makes them even more vulnerable. Suppose like domestic abuse situations, or the marriage doesn't work out for some reason, or just the person wants economic independence, like marriage which is a completely reasonable thing to want. Nagarikta bina not a bank account khulna milcha, not a lok sevalai apply garna milcha, ani independently bachchalai palna try garyo bhane without the husband it becomes almost impossible to do that.
So Abha, just now you said, you know, how a lot of people residing on the borderlines, or perhaps, you know, you mentioned this liminal space where it is actually the external gaze that judges whether or not they're Nepali enough, and therefore do they deserve to be a Nepali citizen, and therefore do they deserve to have this document that proves that they're a Nepali citizen, you know? Where does this stem from? Like, where does this sort of your othering, I suppose, where does it emerge from?
Citizenship ma चाहिँ Mahendra Palama के भयो भने it was the first time there was a division made between naturalized citizenship and citizenship by descent. And because in addition to being very ethnocentric, एकदमै patriarchal पनि understanding भएको government भएकोले descent को line चाहिँ was only through men. So that's when the roots of a lot of our problems began. अनि त्यही 60s देखि नै त्यो descent naturalization को difference आइराखेको हो. 1990 को आन्दोलन पछि पनि not much really changed. 2006 मा नै first time gender diversity को पनि कुरा आयो in a way that a lot of activists now rightly understand to be inadequate. But 2006 मा अलि opening भयो. And I think a lot of the frustration that people are feeling comes from the fact that alikati progress paisageko pani we've taken just a bunch of steps backward exactly to that Mahendra Palako 60s ko understanding, which is just really frustrating on a lot of levels.
What we strongly feel is like the intersectionality ko bahut se alikati kam bhako ki that you're looking at all women as like one single unit. So what has your observation been in terms of how the movement or how the conversations regarding, you know, we need equal rights bhanera agadi badeko cha, tara if it's whether or not it's been able to also take forward certain section of the society ko pani demands.
Bluntest terms ma chai the way I see it, Madhesi rights ko kura गर्ने धेरै जना पुरुषहरु हुनुहुन्छ, and they have a lot of values about patriarchal families and they are sexist, a lot of them are. अनि a lot of people in the women's rights movement चाहिँ party background बाट आएको भएर they share some of the same kinds of ideas about Madhesis not being truly Nepali or less deserving of Nepaliness that their male counterparts do. So दुवै ग्रुपहरुको आफ्नै prejudices भएर चाहिँ there's been kind of a separation in the two agendas. So 2015 को कुरामा चाहिँ Madhesi activistहरु धेरै कुरा गर्ने चाहिँ यो naturalized citizenshipले you can't take any of the highest government offices, and you naturalized or descent को discrimination चाहिँ किन भनेर त्यसमा बढी activism थियो. अनि women को चाहिँ आमाको नामबाट पनि नागरिकता हुनुपर्छ भनेर थियो. which both of those make absolute sense as demands. But because to group only homogeneous I think there's been a willingness for each group to throw the other one under the bus, which I think became more prominent in the past couple of months. Ani common ground khojna nasakema I think the movements are going to continue to be fragmented and not really meet the needs of people who are the most vulnerable.
How can we make demand? How should we frame the demand so that they're not just, treating women as a single homogeneous group, and the demands actually, serve the purpose of both you naturalize citizenship ma bhayeko bhedbhav and citizenship by descent ma bhayeko bhedbhav pani, like, because when you're legislating, you can't create different laws for different communities, right? So, I mean, what's the way forward?
Yeah, I definitely do not have all the answers, but I think a basic thing that I have noticed is that women's activist spaces, it's overwhelmingly Pahari women, and Madhesi activist spaces, it's overwhelmingly men, with a couple of like token people from other groups in each sort of camp. So having more diversity has become such an empty word, but like really making an effort to include voices of people from different like class, caste backgrounds and things like that while making demands. And a lot of that also like not being so Kathmandu centric and seeking out legislators, hamro mayor like talking to people outside of Kathmandu is one place to start. And also ultimately, I think a lot of it does come down to the fact that a lot of our lawmakers are bound men, and even if identity to no boy, people who share their politics are people who are making our laws and like deciding how Nepali society should be. So just restructuring the state, that's going to be a very slow process, but over time, when that happens, hopefully there will be more ideas of who's Nepali and who's not, and non-patriarchal understandings of the state. That might help us in the long run. So I don't have any answers for what should happen immediately, but I do think diversifying who we're having conversations with is one way to start.
Yeah. And in what language we're having those conversations as well. Great. So, Evta, last question, as a sort of as a way to kind of wrap this up, because Bhrikuti and I always talk about how conversations around citizenship are happening on Twitter, and what sort of comments women receive, when they make demands for equal citizenship rights, or when a Madhesi woman makes certain demands when it comes to citizenship. How would you describe the Twitter talk around citizenship? Nepal?
Yeah, I think citizenship nationalism all these like lofty ideas, I don't know what it is that all these men are afraid of. Just the idea that anybody is a potential threat looms so large in the minds of so many people who are like Twitter ko desh raksha karu. So that psychological thing that I think is also related to like panchayat education and things like that. Yeah, just don't be afraid of people crossing the border. Thousands of people are doing it every day. I wish more people would understand that. And beyond that, obviously, the patronizing any woman making any sort of demand is whiny and stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, Abha, so हामीले धेरै कुराहरु त गर्न, I mean, like we sort of tried to touch on a lot of issues around citizenship. तर जाँदै तपाईलाई केही अझै दुई शब्द भन्नु मन छ कि यो विषयमा?
I mean, what I have to say is pretty banal. I'm sure a lot of people already know and understand this, but हाम्रो social studies को education is very, very weak. Panchayat end भएको like कति वर्ष भइसके पनि हाम्रो education when it comes to what Nepal consists of, who Nepalis are, beyond very like cosmetic level, dhoti laउँछन्, like different luga laउँछन् type ko kura bahek, त्यस्तो deep understanding of the different communities that live in Nepal and different practices they have चाहिँ अलि weaकै छ. So just as we get older, I think all of us owe it to ourselves to try to get a broader understanding of Nepal ko society ko makeup than we've been given by our government. So yeah, I would just encourage linguistic nationalists to examine why they think Nepali Punnu is the only way to be Nepali, or any of these other presumptions people have. And I think that has ramifications for things like citizenship ko debate ma, ko Nepali citizen huna entitled ho ta भन्ने कुरामा जुन त्यो background ideas हुन्छ त्यो definitely आउँछ. So yeah, just seek out more information. I think read more books.
It's so interesting what you said about social studies book. I feel like they just removed the chapter on constitutional monarch and then rest everything is the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shaha dynasty भन्ने कुरा add गर्यो अनि त्यो बाहेकको चाहिँ त्यसलाई हटाएपछि अब you know, like everything else, like you said, is the same.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Abha, thank you so much for joining us today for this conversation, for giving us your time, for sharing your insights. And, you know, this was so interesting. I wish we could go on for longer. But, you know, Abha has written extensively on issues of citizenship, on issues of human rights. So please do follow her. Abha, are you on Twitter, or are you on, how can people access your writings?
Yeah, I am on Twitter, and I've written an article about citizenship. If anybody wants it, please message me. I'll send it to you.
Great. So yes, please do follow her and follow her work. And once more, Abha, thank you for joining Guff Gaff with Boju Bajai.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Okay, so हाम्रो second guest लाई introduce गर्न अगाडि we have a little break for you, and it's time for What the Buzz with Yoznaa.
नमस्ते सर. नमस्ते अनि नानीको थर के? मेरो नाम योजना. थर थापा मगर. सरले नाम सोध्नु भएन नि. अनि पहाड कहाँ? एक्चुअली म चाहिँ सर वीरगन्जबाट हो. पहाड वीरगन्ज. अनि धर्म? म क्रिस्चियन हो सर. गाई खाने जात पो? म मासु नै खान्न नि सर, म भेजिटेरियन हो. अब आफ्नो बाउबाजेको धर्म संस्कृति मारेर खाइहाली छौ त. यसरी त नागरिकता पाउन गाह्रो छ. ल राष्ट्रिय गान गाएर सुनाऊ. यो थुङ्गा फुलका हामी एउटै माला नेपाली, सार्वभौमै फैलिएका मेची महाकाली. नेपालको राष्ट्रिय खाना के हो? मोमो. राष्ट्रिय फिल्म छक्का पञ्जा. नेपालका फिस्टे महाराज को हुन्? हजुर, नेपालका रुन्चे महाराज भनेर कसलाई चिनिन्छ? म बुझिनँ सर. के लु मलाई सेलरोटी कसरी पकाउँछन् देखाउ त. लु सेलरोटी त्यो बाटर हुन्छ अनि त्यसलाई यस्तो लिने अनि यस्तो गर्ने. झन्डा कसरी फर्फराउँछन् मलाई देखाउ. यो यस्तो हुन्छ अनि यो यसरी स्विङ गर्ने. भएन, अलिक मजाले देश प्रेमका साथ फर्फराउनु पर्यो नि. ओके, फिल इन द ब्ल्याङ्क्स. नेपालीले ड्यास पायो भने गर्छ. जागिर, पैसा, नागरिकता. अरे राइनो इज नट राइनो, राइनो इज वाट? हजुर फेरि भन्नु, क्वेसन फेरि रिपिट गरिदिनु न.
Rhinos are not rhinos. गैँडा.
ल भएन, तिम्रो तयारी नै पुगेर रहेनछ. यो पाराले त खै त्यही पनि म अलिकति मिलाउँला. ल यो टोपी लगाएर देखाउ. ल कस्तो देखिँदो रहेछ ओके भएन अलिकति यता ढल्काउ न ढल्काउ अलिकति ढल्काउ त धेरै ढल्क्यो अलि अगाडि 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 राउ अलिकति यता भएन अलिकति अलिकति कान देखाउनु पर्यो नि कान कान ल ल ल ठिक छ स्याबास ल खासै नेपाली जस्तो देखिया त छैन त्यो नि म मिलाउन कोसिस गरौँला लु तिम्रो कागज पत्र देऊ अनि बुवालाई बोलाउ भित्र जाऊ बुवा त हुनु न आमा आउनु भएको थियो मसँग आमालाई बोलाउँछु है किन बुवा बित्नु भयो होइन होइन छोडेर जानु भयो होइन बुवालाई लिएर आऊ नि त बुवालाई लिएर आऊ बुवालाई बुवा हुँदा हुँदै आमालाई किन दुःख दिनु ए बुवा यहाँ चाहिँ अहिले चाहिँ हुनुहुन्न कि बुवा यसै आऊ नि त ए जाऊ बुवा यसै आऊ होइन सर मलाई एकदम खाँचो छ कागज पनि सबै कागज पत्र नि सबै ल्याएको छु सर एकदम गरिदिनुहोस् न मिलाइदिनुहोस् न सर ए निस्क यत्तिकै टाइम साँच्ची सर बुवा त हुनुहुन्न बुवाको फोटो ल्याएको थिएँ एकचोटि हेर्नुहोस् न ए मान्छे त खाइलाग्दै हुनुहुँदो रहेछ तिम्रो बुवा ठिकै छ अब मिलाउँला यस्तै बुवाको फोटोहरू 6-7वटा छोडेर जाऊ अनि बेलुका आएर नागरिकता लिएर जाऊ है साइन गराएर है ल ठिक छ राम्रो छ फोटो ल है ल हस् सर थ्याङ्क यू सो मच सर हुन्छ हस् थ्याङ्क यू ल त्यो 2 नम्बरको कोठामा पनि 2टा फोटो छोडिदेऊ है हस् हुन्छ हस् थ्याङ्क यू सर हस् ल नेक्स्ट
That was quite an audition है इतिशा त्यस्तो अडिसन गर्नु पर्यो भने त म पक्का फेल हुन्थे होला पक्का किनभने मलाई त हेर्ला सेलरोटी बनाउन आउँदैन
मलाई नेशनल एन्थम आउँदैन
Oh no
That was What the Buzz with Yoznaa. And now we're going to take our conversation around citizenship and bring in Pallavi Payal, who is a feminist researcher and a Mithila artist. And she's going to talk about how these conversations around citizenship happen or are taking shape online. So here's a little excerpt of our conversation with Pallavi that we recorded a while ago.
Hi, Boju Bajai, Itisha and Bhrikuti. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Hi, Pallavi. Thanks so much for joining us.
So Pallavi, I was just going through your Twitter and I saw your tweet that said that you were on a break for a while and suddenly a lot of things that happened on Twitter भनेर you tweeted somewhere त्यस्तै विषयमा के ट्वीट गर्नु भएको थियो so what was the break for and how does Nepali Twitter feel right now after like however many days break you took from it
I took a break because मेरो आफ्नै पर्सनल कामहरु नै अलि बढी थियो अनि एक्चुअली ट्विटरमा एक्टिभ भएको कारण पनि in the beginning was lockdown no work so let's have some fun so I was just noticing suddenly there were like men saying कि ड्रिंकिङ को women drinking को कुरामा कमेन्ट्स हरु आइरा थियो लुगाको कुरामा आइरा थियो तीजको कुरामा आइरा थियो अनि after I was done with everything I was like oh my god के चाहिँ भइसकेछ ट्विटरमा चाहिँ Twitter has suddenly turned into मलाई त्यो ठ्याक्क सुरज बर्जाटियाको मुभी जस्तै लाग्न थाल्यो कि संस्कारी टाइपको कुराहरु बढी भइरा थियो अनि women were posting pictures of themselves drinking it was so good मलाई क्या रमाइलो लाग्यो त्यो सबै देखेर चाहिँ त्यसैले I was a little break nothing has changed by the way even after the break nothing has changed on Twitter त्यस्तै चलिरहेछ
तर केही समय अगाडि यो नागरिकताको बारेमा यो बहस चलिरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ विशेष गरी Twitter because amidst all the other social media platforms I feel like Twitter seems to be like the most public of them all so त्यसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो विशेष गरी नेपाली ट्विटरमा चाहिँ कस्तो खाले बहसहरु चाहिँ त्यतिबेला I mean like more recently every time something happens there's always this new debate around the whole citizenship act the amendments so the most recent citizenship को बहसमा चाहिँ के कस्तो कुराहरु तपाईले देख्नुभयो भोग्नुभयो
म चाहिँ सोशल मिडियालाई यसरी हेर्छु कि इट्स जस्ट द मिरर अफ आवर सोसाइटी तर इट गिव्स लाइक अ सेफ स्पेस not to us, to the people who are more aggressive in terms of nationalism and citizenship and देशको सार्वभौम सत्ताहरू के त्यो 3-4 वर्डहरू छ नि अखण्डताहरूलाई त्यो त्यस्तो ओपिनियन राख्नेहरूलाई चाहिँ सेफ स्पेस दिँदो रहेछ कि ट्विटरले so when we were discussing about citizenship is discriminatory for all women it's misogynist it's also transphobic यस्तो कुराहरू भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ आयो अलिअलि नराम्रो कमेन्टहरू पनि आयो तर त्यतिकै इक्वली सपोर्ट पनि थियो कि there was like a oh yeah we agree with you कि citizenship bill is problematic भन्ने ग्रुप पनि थियो तर त्यो सपोर्ट चाहिँ कन्डिसनल रहेछ कि immediately after I started pointing out each and every clause, especially the 7 years waiting period for foreign women who marry Nepali men. This is particularly Madhesi women like effect garcha bhanne kura point out गर्ने बित्तिकै I started getting this hate comments. The most one was कि मलाई नै question गरे, are you even a Nepali? Go back to Bihar. म कहिले बिहारमा बसेकै छैन, कता जानु बिहारमा? I'm a Nepali and I'll stay in Nepal. But that's the problem. Someone like me who is a Nepali is a problem, even on social media, because there's a set list of requirements to be a Nepali, and I don't fit in that. Nepali bhaneko as a Twitter ma ta jhan aggressive form huncha. Nepali bhaneko ke त्यही सगरमाथा नेपाली ल्याङ्ग्वेज ढाका टोपी त्यसमै सीमित छ के. अनि I feel like social media also gives a platform to show off त्यसैले झन् नेपालीनेस चाहिँ त्यहाँ गएर झन् बढेर जान्छ कि show off गर्ने चान्स पाइन्छ कि के हो. That's a little difficult to understand. And even there was one person who said, while you're doing this, think from a perspective of a daughter of Nepal. And I told him that I'm not a daughter of a country, I'm daughter of my parents. This logic is absolutely bullshit. He blocked me. So it's like he cannot accept this argument, which is not emotional. Emotion driven social media attack.
Yeah, I was just reading, I think I heard or I read about this, about like how social media tends to reward emotions, but like you said, in a lot of these social media spaces, it's only these ultra nationalist emotions are like reward garne, or at least you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel supported.
So I think what you said just now, Pallavi, is quite interesting, and I was wondering if we could अलिकति अझै त्यसको बारेमा कुरा गर्न पाए, because obviously citizenship को बारेमा, when you talk about the citizenship issue on social media, women their demands are different, and you can't say that all women are concerned about the different clauses in the same way. So when you as a Madhesi woman talk about how the citizenship, the current amendment disproportionately affects women of the Madhes, what kind of response do you get compared to, let's say, when a woman just talks about Amako Nambata Nagrikta, for example?
Okay, so Amako Nambata Nagrikta is a long, धेरै वर्षदेखि भइरहेको मुभमेन्ट हो. सो देयर इज सम काइन्ड अफ अग्रिमेन्ट अलिकति बुझिसकेको अवेरनेस आइसकेको इस्यु हो त्यसमा चाहिँ त्यति धेरै नेगेटिभ कमेन्ट्सहरू आउँदैन, त्यसलाई चाहिँ एक्सेप्टै गरिन्छ ओन्ली फ्यु कमेन्ट्स अबाउट सेइङ कि अब कसैको नामबाट नागरिकता होस्, नागरिकता आउनु ठुलो कुरा हो भन्ने जस्तो कुराहरू हुन्छ त्यसमा चाहिँ के प्रब्लम हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि हामीले वुमेन शुड अल्सो ह्याभ द राइट टु कन्फर द सिटिजनसिप बाई डिसेन्ट भन्ने कुरा हो नि त. अनि त्यो डिसेन्टमा चाहिँ अलिअलि कता कता चाहिँ अलिकति कन्जर्भेटिभ कमेन्ट्सहरू पनि आइन्छ कि अब सपोज देयर इज दिस अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ कि बिहा गरिसकेपछि महिलाको डिसेन्टै चेन्ज हुने कुरा वंश चाहिँ चेन्ज हुने कुरा, विच इज क्लियरली इलोजिकल तर वेन आई टक अबाउट कि यो 7 years वेटिङ पिरियडले मधेसी वुमेनलाई अलिक बढी असर गर्छ, यसले एक्चुअली इट्स अ भेरी डेन्जरस क्लज नि. यसले गर्दाखेरि त स्टेटलेसनेस क्रिएट हुन्छ. स्टेटलेसनेस क्रिएट हुनु भनेको त यु डोन्ट ह्याभ एनी राइट्स, यु आर बेसिकली इन्भिजिबल इन अ कन्ट्री, इन द वर्ल्ड एक्चुली अल ओभर द वर्ल्ड नै तिम्रो आइडेन्टिटी नै छैन. इट्स अ भेरी डेन्जरस क्लज भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ वाइ आर यु सो वरिड अबाउट बुहारी यु आर नेपालको छोरी, बुहारीको बारेमा किन यति चिन्ता, हाम्रो पनि नेपालको छोरीहरू त इन्डिया गएर बिहा गरेर 7 वर्ष वेट गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने खालको. These kinds of comment, I feel like it comes from people who do not read much हो कि के हो, किनभने इन्डियाको त्यो 7 years वेटिङ पिरियडमा women don't have much problem. Their identity is, they are not stateless at least. उनीहरुसँग आधार कार्ड हुन्छ उनीहरुसँग डिफरेंट काइन्ड्स अफ आइडेन्टिटी कार्ड हुन्छ जसले चाहिँ उनीहरुको सबै कुराको सिक्युरिटी समेतको सबैको केयर गरेको हुन्छ हामी कहाँ त्यस्तो कुनै मेकानिजम छैन इट्स गोइङ टु बी भेरी डेन्जरस भन्दाखेरि पनि नपत्याउने बिकज आई फिल लाइक समवेयर दे आर ब्लाइन्डेड बाई नेसनलिजम कि यसमा चाहिँ मधेसी वुमेनको इस्युमा चाहिँ जेन्डरको सँगसँगै चाहिँ नेसनलिजमको इस्यु पनि आउँछ कि इभन इन द फेमिनिस्ट मुभमेन्टमा पनि त्यही गरेर रोकिन्छ कि 7 इयर्सको वेटिङ पिरियड इज फाइन त्यसपछिको कुरा गरौँ भन्ने खाले हुन्छ कि So there is definitely not much understanding about this intersectional effects of this citizenship clause on different kinds of people. हाम्रो nationalismले हामीलाई narrow बनाइदिएको छ एकदमै धेरै कि सोचाइमा पनि अनि त्यो कुरा चाहिँ हाम्रो उसमा सोशल मिडियामा त एकदमै मजाले देखिन्छ
यो त्यो र एजेन्ट्सहरुले खाइदिन्छ नेपाल भन्नेको myth it's been going on for I don't know as long as I can remember.
त्यो उसमा हेर्यो भने ठ्याक्क त्यो एउटा मैले पेन्टिङ हालेको थिएँ अनि आई सेड कि स्टेटलेसनेस विल नट बी एक्सेप्टेड भन्दा त्यहाँ ठ्याक्क तल चाहिँ एम्बेसीको दलाल अनि त्यसपछि अर्को चाहिँ डलरवादी होइन त्यस्तो कमेन्टहरु आउन थाल्यो कि अनि द गुड थिङ अबाउट इट इज कि वी हेभ अ ग्रुप अफ वुमेन अन सोशल मिडिया होइन who are like हुन्छ नि एउटा strong strength नै बनेर आउँदो रहेछन् कि whenever I am attacked there are like few women who come and support me त्यही गएर चाहिँ हैन they are like okay they have this really funny comebacks to the dollar वादीको कुरा I saw one of my friends making a dollar को खेतीको drawing नै बनाएर हाल्दिएको थियो हैन so there is like some few group of women who come and support you there त्यहाँ त्यो पनि छ के एउटा
Yeah, absolutely. Your solidarity around like these very important issues, and also the humor and the sarcasm, you know, that are used as tools to kind of subvert these subvert the power relations. I find very, very impressive on social media, and it's really like it gives you hope. It keeps you sane and positive.
Yeah.
So, Pallavi, तिमीले अघि भने जस्तै like you know like every time you write something, a lot of these nationalist trolls usually come up with the very के भन्ने एकदमै उहाँहरुको predictable यो गाली होस् अथवा त्यो भन्ने कुरा होस् remark from dollarवादी to slut shaming and things like that. Like a lot of us over the years, I think we've learned how to like I wouldn't say deal with it, but still found a way to navigate around these sort of like you know like bullying and silencing. तर यो and that might not always be the case for everyone. So during the course of your engagement on Twitter, just the public platform, have you seen women who sort of like could not, you know, like thought this was like a lot and had to leave the platform, or you see अरूहरुलाई चाहिँ यस्तो किसिमको bullying, silencing भएको चाहिँ देख्छौ कि देखेको छौ छैनौ कस्तो खाले like how do you look at it भनेर
अब नामै लिनु पर्दा त अब ओपनली भइसकेकै कुरा हो सबभन्दा ठुलो एक्जाम्पल त हाम्रो मोहना अन्सारीलाई नै दे ट्राई टु साइलेन्स her own national human rights commission ले आफै साइलेन्स गर्न खोज्यो उहाँको ट्वीट्सलाई जबकि she has clearly mentioned that her tweets are personal it has nothing to do with NHRC or anything हैन उहाँको त्यो एक्जाम्पल छ भने there was another case where a journalist हैन threatened this another woman on social media of police case just because she called him out on his misogyny हैन त्यतिबेला उहाँको मिडिया हाउसले चाहिँ आएर तिमी चुप लाग भनेर त्यस्तो खालको कुनै लेटर केही वार्निङहरु दिएन उहाँले अपोलोजाइज गर्नुभयो which is basically not even an apology I don't consider it to be an apology त्यही डिफरेन्स देखिन्छ के when a woman is like trying to speak उलाई साइलेन्स गर्नलाई त ठुलो उसको त्यो इन्स्टिट्युसन्सहरु नै खडा भइदिन्छ के साइलेन्स गर्नलाई तर त्यही म्यानले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यहाँ कुनै पनि इन्स्टिट्युसन कहीं केही वास्तै गरिदैन अब हामीलाई नि कमेन्ट गर्दाखेरि त अब एउटा कमेन्ट थियो धेरै नबोल न नानी भनेर के सो वी एक्सपीरियन्स अ लट अफ म्यान्सप्लेनिङ हैन अनि त्यसपछि यो नानुइजम र बुनुइजम भन्छु के मलाई यो चाहिँ अलिकति बढी नै हामी माथि नै प्र्याक्टिस हुँदो रहेछ के इट्स डिफिकल्ट टु स्टे अन सोशल मिडिया हैन बी स्ट्रङ एन्ड स्टे अन सोशल मिडिया इज भेरी डिफिकल्ट त्यसमाथि मधेसी वुमेन हेर्यो भने सोशल मिडियामा त भेरी फ्यू इन्क्रिजिङ बिस्तारै इन्क्रिज भइरहेछ अनि तर I feel like we still need some more, you know, Madhesi voices on social media and even in national media and different kinds of media. Okay?
So what you've been sort of producing, the Mithila art for over the last as a form of protest, as a form of like visibility, you know, centering a Madhesi woman's body, and forcing, you know, people to center their gaze on this body. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, your art and sort of the activism connected to that process?
So Mithila art, like I've been using it as a medium to express myself, होइन, मेरो experiences-हरु. तर traditional form of Mithila art ले चाहिँ जहिले पनि it shows very traditional lifestyle of Madhes, होइन. So त्यो हेरे मैले, होइन, तर I cannot relate to it. Of course, I'm born and brought up in Kathmandu. My lifestyle is very different from what is portrayed in the Mithila art. So I couldn't relate to it. तर Mithila art बनाउन त हामीलाई अब बच्चादेखि नै interest थियो. So I started making something that I could relate to, होइन. त्यो relate गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले भोगेको different kinds of misogyny, discriminationहरु नै मैले portray गर्न थाले. Basically हामीले relate गर्न सक्ने हाम्रो art form हो. So why not use it for campaign भनेर मैले use गरे. त्यसमा पनि कता कता त some people said that this is Indian art भनेर. यतिसम्म पनि awareness छैन कि Mithila art is also Nepali art, होइन. त्यस्तो खालको comment आयो. It's like marginalized women को voices अलिकति आउनु पनि अलि बढी आएको जस्तो देखिदो रहेछ के. किनभने it's not ever seen ever के, त्यो अलिकति mainstream नभएको कुरा suddenly mainstream हुन थाल्दाखेरि चाहिँ मान्छेले त्यो खोज्दो रहेछ के. And that is what I wanted to do.
So हाम्रो सामाजिक सञ्जाल विशेष गरी ट्विटरमा चाहिँ how do you think, you know, like more feminist men and women could come together to, you know, maybe learn how to empathize with each other? यो solidarity चाहिँ कसरी build गर्न सकिन्छ होला around these issues, like from your citizenship को कुरा होस् अथवा यो nationalism को विषयमा होस्, हैन?
So what I think is यो topic चाहिँ मैले आफू पनि पढिरहेको हो, because intersectionality मधेसमा पनि हुनु पर्यो, हैन. We have Dalit Madhesi women, we have you know, LGBTQI community in Madhes as well, हैन. So मैले study गरिरहेको छु how to become an ally to all these groups के. अहिले चाहिँ म प्रब्लम के देख्छु भन्दाखेरि यो women's movement or feminist movement मा हेर्ने हो भने चाहिँ it's like run by only dominant class को, dominant caste को group, हैन, which basically says कि inclusion हामी गर्दै छौं, हैन. Token inclusion गर्यो, लिएर आयो, बोल्न लगायो, without giving the right kind of leadership to, you know, lead the movement. मेरो concern चाहिँ के हो भन्दाखेरि मधेसी women को issue मा चाहिँ when you are silent, when you don't say भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो equality होइन के. When you are advocating for equality and say कि यो 7 years waiting period ठिक छ because हाम्रो national interest को कुरा हो, हैन. त्यो भन्दा beyond गएर कुरा गर्नु भनेको चाहिँ के भने हो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ it is okay that you become stateless while I enjoy citizenship rights with fewer complications. It's okay if you have large complications with it. भन्न खोजेको. So when feminist movement would be incomplete or there will be no accountability to feminist movement if you say that कि यो ठिक छ भन्ने कुरा. So we have to think कि हाम्रो solidarity build हुँदैन, because nationalism is dangerous to all of us. मधेसी womenलाई अलिकति बढी dangerous होला, तर it affects all of us. All the women, सबैको लागि चाहिँ यो nationalismले एउटा limitations create गर्छ, which is dangerous for us, हैन. यसको लागि solidarity build गर्नलाई बुझ्नु पर्यो from others perspective. Intersectionality को कुरा मात्र गरेर हुँदैन.
And on that wonderful note, thank you so much, Pallavi, for giving us your time, for joining us Bojus and Bajais for this talk show. And yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun, and hope, you know, we get to do this again. But yeah, we're so thankful for your time.
Yeah, and
thank you, Bhrikuti. You know, I loved this conversation. Sare ramailo bhayo, and I was looking forward to it. And this is my second time on Boju Bajai, if you remember. You know?
Yes, yeah. And
yeah. We're using you on all of our mediums. Yeah, but audio medium and use it now. We're trying to lure you into our video medium too.
Yeah, and I'm personally a big fan of Pallavi's artwork. I've already ordered one. You log on khule पछि म लिन जान्छु. I think this is great work. Ani, I hope you continue to break all kinds of stereotypes and all kinds of ceilings, walls. I don't know what else is there, you know. But can you tell our viewers and listeners where they can follow your work, yours and Sanjeevani's work?
Yeah, please follow my work on Instagram. It's Payal Sapna Paints. I have a working partner, Sapna Sanjeevani, who is as brilliant or more brilliant than me in terms of art. And we are trying to establish as a business, I know. जुन चाहिँ अब यो लकडाउनले अलिकति हामीलाई गाह्रो गरेछ, but we are already working from home. We have lots of orders coming up, and we are selling some of our artworks. I know. Feel free to give us a message on Instagram and on Facebook. We are there. You can also follow us and me on Twitter. And order our paintings. And thank you for all the love अहिलेसम्मको पेन्टिङहरुमाथि.
I'm just amazed how Pallavi is so good at dealing with trolls. Like, I'm so bad. So that brings us almost to the end of this episode. But of course, we will leave you with a musical break. If you haven't listened to that episode of our podcast, please do. And yeah, do you want to introduce who's performing as a musical break segment, Bhrikuti?
So we have this wonderful singer Pratibha from Rajbiraj. So she's singing a folk song that is popular in the Mithila speaking region of Nepal. So thank you so much, Pratibha, for agreeing to be part of our episode, and hope you enjoy your performance. And if you really like this episode, अनि तपाईले हरेक 10 सेकेन्ड पछि फरवर्ड गर्दै हेर्नु भएको छैन भने र हेर्नु भएको छैन भने that's fine. Please follow our channel Boju Bajai on YouTube, and please don't forget to hit that bell icon and follow Boju Bajai on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. अरु के भन्छ इतिशा यस्तो गरिसकेपछि? I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. And just so you know, in our next episode, we will be talking about Samaveshita. This is one, so I'm wrong pronounce inclusion.
Yes, that's right. So त्यसमा include हुनु होला तपाईहरु पनि. So we'll meet you in the next episode. So त्यति दिनसम्म please Boju Bajai follow गर्नु होला. I think I've already said this multiple times, so I think we should go now, Itisha. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching.
प्रणाम सबगोटे के हमर नाम प्रतिभा झा, घर हमर जनकपुर है. हम एक कार्यक्रम में एक गीत गावल जा रहल छी जे गीत खास में महिला सबके विशेष गीत छै. ए गीत बेटी विदाई के काल में गायल जाय छै, जकरा समदाउन सेहो कहल जाय. ए गीत में कोना क एकटा बेटी विधाता से भगवान से अपना आप के जन्म नहीं देबा के लेल निहोरा करे छै, रिक्वेस्ट करे छै, ते विषय में वर्णन कयल गेलै. मुआ के डढ़े चढ़ी बोले रे कोयलिया, धिया के जन्म जुनी दे. मुआ के डढ़े चढ़ी बोले रे कोयलिया, धिया के जन्म जुनी दे. कठिन से नूरक लाज हो विधाता, कठिन से नूरक लाज हो विधाता, धिया के जन्म जुनी देव. कठिन से नूरक लाज हो विधाता, धिया के जन्म जुनी देव. धिया के जन्म जो दिहा हो विधाता, निर्धन कुल जुनी देव. निर्धन कुल जो दिहा हो विधाता, पुरुष मूरुख जुनी देव. निर्धन कुल जो दिहा हो विधाता, पुरुष मूरुख जुनी देव. अमुआ के डाढ़ी चढ़ी बोले रे कोयलिया धिया के जन्म जुनी देव धिया के जन्म जुनी